What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're out on the water today, but this video is going to be all about what is research. We talk about research all the time when it comes to tournament fishing, and today I want to talk to you about things to look for when you're preparing for your next tournament, stuff to go find online, things to pay attention to, things like navigation issues, past baits, tournament results, stuff like that. So we're going to go through all these different things that you need to be paying attention to when you do research. So let's get into it. So when it comes to research, the first thing we're going to talk about is mapping. Now, when I talk about mapping, I usually am talking about contour maps, and then another thing I consider mapping is Google Earth. With regular contour maps, you have like your Navionics, your Lake Master, and then you have paper maps as well. And what you want to look for on those is a lot of times they're going to give you general information. You can see contour lines, you can find high spots that you didn't know existed, you can find, you know, different steeper banks, you can find just different contours that can point you in a direction. You can find where the creek channels kind of come in and where the main river channel is. And then with Google Earth, you can do a lot of cool stuff. And I'm not talking about Google Earth where you just go on Google and search for a lake and look at the map. I'm talking about Google Earth where you download the program, which gives you a whole lot of different features that are really helpful. Those features include being able to go back in time and actually see the lake at different lake levels. And when lakes are low, like when I was supposed to go to Shasta last year before it got canceled, I did a lot of map work on Google Earth looking for low water rock piles and stuff that you could visually see on Google Earth, made those as waypoints, and you can transfer those to your Humminbird, to your Lowrance, or whatever unit you're using. And that stuff gives you a lot of basic information and places to go in different areas of the lake where you can possibly find fish. And places like Shasta, the water levels fluctuate so much that you could see the lake 30 foot, 50 foot low and go back at a different time, and all that stuff that you can see visually on Google Earth is now underwater and fishable. So something else when it comes to doing research is you really want to pay attention to navigation issues, because when you're going to a new body of water, you don't always know exactly what's going on underneath that water. You want to know if there's big trees in different parts of the lake. So for example, when I went to Sam Rayburn last year, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know that there was like navigational issues with Sam Rayburn until I started talking to people literally days before I was going. But YouTube can be a great place to go check out for videos, people talking about different lakes. I know on Sam Rayburn in particular, there's definitely a lot of videos. There's waypoints that you can put onto your map to know specific ways to run different areas to avoid, where to stop going into big bays and stuff like that. Otherwise, you're going to end up taking off your lower unit. You're going to ruin your practice. You're going to ruin your tournament. You're going to possibly hurt yourself. So navigation issues are definitely something that you want to do research for. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about when it comes to research is knowing the seasonal patterns. You want to know the seasonal patterns as they relate to the different parts of the country. If you only fish regionally, then you kind of have an idea. But if you're traveling around, then you need to know that, you know, Florida's going to spawn first, and then everything down south, and then everything starts to slowly go up north in terms of later in the year as you go up north for the spawn, because everything kind of revolves around the spawn, the fish movements and everything like that. Because if you're going to go fish somewhere in the summertime, you want to kind of have an idea if that's how long ago that spawn was, how far as those fish move back to those summer patterns. Or if you're fishing a pre-spawn tournament, are they going to be on those winter spots? Are they going to be moving into spawn? So knowing the seasonal patterns as it relates to different parts of the country is huge if you're traveling around. If you're fishing regionally, then still knowing the difference between what might be happening in the southern part of the state versus the northern part of the state, because I'm in California, so obviously everything's going to happen down in Southern California sooner, because California is so long and goes up north. Everything's going to spawn later up north, most likely. When you're doing research for your tournaments, you definitely want to pay attention to what the main structure is at different lakes, because some lakes it's going to be grass, some places it's going to be, you know, brush and tules like we have out here, and the grass as well, and then other places it's going to be a lot of rock. Lake Texoma was a lot of dock fishing. It's got rock there as well. But like when I was at Sam Rayburn, it's all grass. A lot of it's grass, and then there's hard spots out, you know, offshore. So you got to really pay attention to what the main structure is, because that's going to tailor a little bit about what baits you're going to pick. It's going to tailor what you're looking for on your maps. Are you looking for flats or little areas that are going to have grass pockets, or are you looking for more of those points that might have rock on it, maybe some little bit
of points that have a little flat end on them, so that way there's a rock pile or it's a little place for the fish to set up. So it's going to tailor what you're looking for. If you're fishing a rock area, you know you're going to be throwing probably a jig, crankbait, stuff like that. If you're around grass, crankbait's another one, chatterbaits. If you're fishing around toolies and stuff, you might be doing a lot of flipping. So it's just going to help you kind of dial in what you might need for practice.
Something else I want to talk to you guys while we're doing this video is Waterline sunglasses, guys. I've been talking about Waterline a lot lately, and I'm trying to get you guys to understand that these are legit sunglasses. They are made by fishermen for fishermen. They're going to cut down glare, and they're going to help you catch more fish. Today I'm out on the water and I'm seeing grass patches, I'm seeing rock, I'm seeing submerged wood, things that I need to know about in order to try and catch more fish. These sunglasses are the real deal, and they're going to help you out as well. Go to waterlinecode.com, use my discount code LUNA15. It's gonna save you 15% off, and they have free shipping as well, over $50 or $75. I'm not exactly sure. But waterlinecode.com, use my code LUNA15. Another really important factor when it comes to doing your research for your tournaments, or even just going to another lake, is paying attention to past tournament results. You can get a lot of information by paying attention to tournament results. You take a look at different baits that have done well and different top 10 baits from a specific tournament or something like that. But you can also get an idea of what kind of quality fish you need to be fishing for. For example, if 25 pounds is winning a lot of the tournaments, then you know you're going to be needing a higher quality fish. So when you go and practice, if you're catching 2-pound fish, then you know you're not on the right quality. But what you also want to pay attention to is, what are the weights like throughout the field? Because sometimes lakes have really, really high weights, but then they fall off really quickly, and maybe limits are tough. So you have an idea of how many bites you should be looking for. If everybody's coming in with a limit, then you definitely know that you need to be getting a lot of bites, because the fishing's good, the fish bite. But if you look at tournament results and look down the field and there's not a lot of limits except for at the top, then you know the fishing's probably gonna be tough. So you might only be looking for those 5 to 10 bites a day, and you know that you're on what you need to be fishing for. But paying attention to those top weights and then how it goes throughout the field is key as well. And then obviously you got to be paying attention to those articles where they're talking about different baits as a starting point, because every condition is different, every tournament is different. So you got to pay attention to things that have worked well in the past, but you need to just use those as a starting point, as your guide, and then be open-minded to fish other stuff as well, depending on the conditions that you're fishing in at the time you're at that lake. So the last thing about research that I want to talk to you guys about is other fishermen. Obviously other fishermen can be a resource to your tournament practice, but it's probably the one that I would recommend the least. Obviously people that fish lakes and have a ton of experience on those lakes can be helpful and put you on fish. But what I think that ends up doing to you guys in the long term is it doesn't help you learn how to find your own fish. You end up fishing somebody else's pattern, somebody else's baits, and those baits might not be your strengths. They may not be something that you have confidence in, and it just might end up hurting you in the long run. So sometimes that can be a guide for practice, but you're also fishing somebody else's history when you're asking other people for help. So you got to be cautious about that. People can lie to you, so you got to be careful that people aren't lying to you, that you're getting legitimate info, and that it's trustworthy. So just take what people say with a little bit of a grain of salt. It can be a guide, but like I said in some of the other tactics, you got to fish the conditions, because what they are fishing is in the past and isn't exactly what you're fishing that particular day. Well guys, I hope this video was valuable to you guys and gave you a guide on maybe what to look for when it comes to doing your research for a tournament, doing your research for fishing a lake that you're not used to fishing or you've never been to before. Take this information, these ideas, these tactics, and use them for your next fishing trip. It's going to help you catch more fish. It's going to give you a guide. It's going to give you a plan on how to attack that lake.